webinar. My name is Annalie, and I'm here today with Hilary Blackstock and Dave and Angela from Kaizen Exercise Physiologists. Before I hand over to Hilary, who will introduce you to today's presenters, I'll just let you know that if at any time you have any questions for Dave or Angela, you can actually type them into the questions section of the GoToWebinar control panel that's on your screen. So just in the questions section there, you can type any questions you have, and at the end of the session we'll pass them on to Dave and Angela and they'll answer them for everyone to hear. Let me pass you over now to Hilary to introduce the guys to you. Thanks, Hilary. Oh, Hilary, have we got you there? Hilary, can you hear us? Oh, we seem to be missing her. That's all right. Maybe Dave, Angela, I'll hand over to you.
We're here. Can you hear
You're
us?
here. Take it away, guys.
Fabulous. Have we got our camera on?
You're on. Go for it.
Hopefully you're going to see our faces here. We'll see how we're looking. Sharing. Okay. Sharing. Okay. Well, welcome along. Hopefully I've probably met a lot of you in the past. My name's Dave Leo. We're actually part of Kaizen Health Diagnostics. Now, some of you may not have met before, but you'll probably meet a lot more of is Angela Jenkins, who's my business partner for the last 3 years, only feels like 10. Now, Angela is an expert in particularly adrenal testing and food sensitivity testing, and it's been, I guess, one of my good finds because certainly that's allowed me to get a lot of the results in the type of work that I like doing, which is the musculoskeletal side. So Angela's been working in this field for a number of years now, and I actually didn't think she was going to make it along, so she's been in the States for the last month, but she hauled back. She's almost over a jet lag and is joining us today because she's the brains behind today. I'm the pretty face and the push-ups. So we're going to talk about why some clients don't get results, the missing link. And we want to take on a bit of a journey, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen before and experienced before. So we're going to introduce you to our two women here, who are Jenny and Jane. Now, Jenny is on the left there, or my left. She's got a lovely smile, and Jane there is looking a tad concerned, as she well should. So Jenny's 41 and Jane's 42. They both have 2 kids. Jenny has a boy and a girl, 10 and 8, and Jane has 2 girls, which are 9 and 7. Now, Jenny was an ex-netball player, but life got busy for her, and that's fallen away. The social netball scene in the last couple of years. Jane likes to do a bit of group fitness, but again, kids and the part-time job have gotten her way too, so now she's not really doing an awful lot.
Excuse me, Dave.
Yeah.
Sorry, could you perhaps pop your Bluetooth in your ear for us? Thank you. I think that will pick up your voice a little bit better for us.
It's not often people tell me to talk up.
Thank you.
So, first session in, both of them love their session, but they both pull up a bit sore. Jenny's got that bring it on, pulling up sore. She loves it. She said, that's okay, I'm a bit sore, when's my next session? Jane, on the other hand, she pulls up really sore, but she's really tired. The next day, she's wandering around and she's making old woman jokes and touching her back in the office. 3 weeks in, things are changing a little. So Jenny's feeling great. She's got a lot more energy. She jokes that she feels firmer. She sits around slapping her triceps and slapping her butt, saying, "Look, I'm feeling firm. I'm feeling great." And she probably isn't, but she's feeling good. Now, Jane, on the other hand, is really starting to get tired. That fatigue's starting to get out of control. She's going to bed early. She's not sleeping well though. She's waking up tired. She can't seem to get on top of things. She has this funny thing going, well, it's not funny for her, funny thing going with the gut, where it's stop and go. She gets constipated for a couple of days, then it's all go. She gets diarrhea, and she's getting those cycles of stop and go. She used to see a chiropractor because she used to get a sore back, and now that she's exercising, her back's giving her a lot of grief. So she's tag teaming between that chiropractor and her PT. And she's starting to get the feeling that exercise hurts. Now, the trainers that both Jeannie and Jane are using, they're both good. They both understand exercise. They've done a good job of setting exercise programs, but they aren't responding the same already. They're both on similar diets. Trainers fit into this whole metabolic type dieting thing, and it makes a lot of sense to Jenny and Jane and to the trainer. But again, things aren't going the same for these girls. Looking forward to 2 months, what we've found now is Jenny is in the zone. She's lost 2 kilos. Now, she said she's got weapons of mass destruction. The guns are on board. And what she's really enjoying is her 12-year-old boy, she can now smoke him in a race. Before, she couldn't even turn up to the start line. Now she's doing great. Jane, on the other hand, she's having a different journey. She's actually put on 2 kilos, and it's mostly around the middle. She's getting what she'd say flabby around the middle, the muffin top's happening. But what's disappointing her even more is that she's just so sore all the time. Anything she does in terms of exercise, whether it's stretching, whether it's even light exercise, hurts. Now, Jane is in a state of going, gone. It won't be long before she falls off the bus. Now, something's going on here because we've had similar trainers giving similar exercise programs, similar dietary advice, but we're getting different results. What is that something? Now, when I cast my mind back to my career, I've seen plenty of Jenny and Jane's, and I know a lot of you have too. And one of my earliest mentors, and I know someone who a lot of you know as well, is Paul Chek. And one of the things that Paul Chek said to me very early on in my education was, stress is stress. Doesn't matter where it comes from. Whether it's stress from running late from work, whether it's from eating the wrong foods, whether it's from doing the wrong type of exercise, too much, too little, not enough sleep. Stress is stress. And the way the body reacts to stress is that sympathetic nervous system activity is increased. So we all get that stress is stress. Exercise is a form of stress too. But knowing what to do with that and how to measure that is a whole different story. And really, I've had no access to those tools until the last 3 years, till I've started working with Angela. And to my utter disappointment and disgust, the body is not all about levers and muscles and joints. If it was, my job would be so easy. But when we're getting more complex cases, we're getting people who aren't sleeping well, who have got gut problems, who have got not only sore shoulders but a sore backs, and that pain's moving around and it's been sitting for a long time. Those are complex cases. And if you're working with complex cases, you need a lot more tools. If I've got a whiteboard behind me, I'm not sure if you guys can see my feet here, but I've got a whiteboard behind me on the wall. If I want to put a whiteboard on the wall, I probably need a spirit level, I need a drill, and maybe a screwdriver and a hammer. That's all I need. Simple tools for a simple job. When we're working with complex clients who've got a lot going on, we need a lot more tools. And some of those tools we need, I guess, are pretty techo. And these are the tools that we're going to introduce you to, that are the tools I always wanted and always wanted available, and I guess now I have, and we want to share those with you. So I'm going to pass over to Angela now, who's going to take you through, I guess, some of the tools we're using and some of the tools that she's put together for Kaizen Health Diagnostics.
Hi everyone. So, you know, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. If not for yourself, a lot of your trainers can relate to this. But in today's world, we are just bombarded by so many different stresses. You know, people are saying 40 is the new 30, but, you know, stress is becoming the new normal. You know, from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed, we just have so many different stresses. We have physical stresses from joint pain and injuries. We have emotional stresses like arguments with our husbands, trying to get the kids ready for school. Everyone has financial stresses. We've got nutritional stresses from all the foods the wrong foods that we're eating, and it's just boom, boom, boom. It's just stress on our body. Now, the body can't differentiate between all of these different types of stresses. It just feels stress, and our body is under stress. Now, the thing with stress is normal. Our body is designed to respond to some stress. So, for example, if a tiger jumped in up behind you now and you're watching this webinar, your body would respond. Your nervous system would be increased, your adrenal glands here would release cortisol, adrenaline would be pumped out, sugar would be pumped out, and we'd run away and we'd get to safety. Now once we get to safety, all of those things would go back to normal. Our cortisol will go back to normal, our adrenaline would come down, our sugar levels would come down, and we'd get on with life. But what's happening with all the different stresses in today's world, people are being chased around by that tiger all day, every day. So they have the adrenaline pumping, they have the cortisol pumping out, and the body is just like going, oh my God, what is happening here? So it's not this acute stress that's the problem, it's the chronic stress that is the real problem, and a lot of people are experiencing it. So I just want to take you through some of those things today. So Maddie, if you want to have a look there. So this here is a bit of an interesting graph, and this basically outlines what is happening with a lot of your clients, and you'll probably be able to relate to this yourself and for people that you work with. So if you have a look there on the graph, we've got cortisol up the side, which is your stress hormone, and along the bottom we've got basically the progression of chronic stress and what happens. So in the green area there, that's normal. So that's where we're meant to be. That's a normal level of cortisol. Now as we move up into that yellow phase, that's when our body is under stress. So we're meant to move up to that yellow phase and then drop back down to normal. But what's happening is we're in that yellow phase for not only days, weeks, but years. So many people are in that phase for 10, 15 years. It's that career person who's just boom, boom, boom. They're on the go and they're feeling great because they're running on adrenaline and their body's just pumping out all this cortisol and they're handling the stress okay. It's like when the mother first has her child and she's not sleeping and she just has to run an adrenaline to really, just keep going and going and going. And look, that's fine for a period of time, but what happens is our bodies get tired. So there's only so much cortisol we can produce. So our adrenal glands, which are producing this cortisol, they're getting fatigued and exhausted. Just like if, you injure an ankle, your right ankle, and, you don't break down all of a sudden. You actually start to compensate on the other side. You might get a sore left knee or a sore left hip. The same thing happens in the body. It compensates and starts to use all these different pathways. And when that happens, cortisol, you can see as it starts to slide down the yellow into the orange, the cortisol levels start to reduce. So we've still got all this stress going on in our lives, but the cortisol levels can't respond anymore. They can't respond to the stress that's going on. And if it's not dealt with and not addressed, people are sliding down into that red area, and that's when basically you have no reserves. That's when people are in burnout. And, I can't tell you the number of people that we've worked with that have been in that phase 3 adrenal fatigue and exhaustion. And look, it's really quite frightening, the number of people that are in that phase. And, some of them just feel that, oh, that's just what happens when you get a few years older. You just sort of lose your edge, you lose a bit of energy, and you get a bit tired. But it's not. These people are in phase 3 adrenal fatigue, and when they're actually getting their results and getting a plan around it, they're just turning their lives around. Now, the big problem with going and getting a blood test, which some people do, is that as you can see on the graph, the yellow there, the total cortisol, in the green, the total cortisol is the same as in the orange. So basically, a lot of people who are in phase 2 adrenal fatigue are getting misdiagnosed as normal because their total cortisol is all right. Now, cortisol is a hormone that changes throughout the day. It rises in the morning and then slowly drops down throughout the day. So unless you're looking at the big picture, how your adrenals are responding throughout that day, you're getting misdiagnosed. It's a pattern that's really important. And we see so many people that might be okay in the morning, but then they're having these massive drops and getting that afternoon tiredness, and then they're peaking again in the evening. It's just, so we really look in depth at all of those things. So that's just a bit of an outline there. And in our testing that we do, we actually look at the phases of adrenal fatigue, so phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And once you do that, then you can get an exact plan around your client so you can tailor your programs to them. Flip it over, Maddie. So we just wanted to show you next basically a bit of a, report that we do with a lot of our clients. So as you can see, we've got 4 measures there of cortisol. We take a morning measure, we take a lunchtime measure, an afternoon and an evening measure. So we're really getting a really good insight into exactly what's going on throughout the day for that client. It's not, you actually have these little test kits here. Actually have little, Dave just told me we're off camera, but we have these little test tubes that we get your clients to spit in for each of these times, and we send them away to a lab. So as you can see, this client here, This is actually a client of Dave that he was working with, and she was an elite runner. And you can see there that her cortisol levels in the morning, they were low. They were low at lunch, the afternoon, and then in the evenings they were peaking. And she was having a lot of disrupted sleep patterns and things like that. And it was down to a lot of the cortisol issues. So you can also see it breaks down on the diagram the what's normal, what's high, and what's low, and you actually get a good pattern of what's going on throughout the day. And what we actually see too with a lot of clients is you can actually pinpoint what's going on in their life at that particular time of day as well. Like I've worked with some clients who have extremely high cortisol in the morning and then they drop down and they're still in this phase 2, phase 3 adrenal fatigue, and we looked into depth at what was happening at that time of day, and they were having a double espresso and doing like an hour's worth of emails and getting the kids ready for school, and just by making a few changes there made a big difference. The other thing our report looks at is DHEA. Now DHEA is crucial. That's your repair and recovery hormone. So once that starts to go, which you see here, the body's in a lot of problems. Now cortisol and DHEA, the stress hormone cortisol, your repair and recovery hormone DHEA, they work in balance. And for us to be feeling good and coping with stress, we need to have a ratio here usually between 5 and 6. But what's happening is a lot of people are basically compensating in their body. It's a bit of a complicated thing. We can talk about that another time. But basically, we're having to get cortisol from a different area in our body, and in doing so, it lowers the DHEA. So a lot of people have what's called this inverted ratio, where their body is in basically a catabolic state. So they're breaking down more than what they're repairing. Now, the other key thing to be aware of is that cortisol and DHEA are key, like a key for balance in the body. So the body works in like this hierarchy system. So when they're out of balance, they can have a massive impact on so many different systems in the body. And so unless you're addressing this adrenal fatigue, nothing else is working. You're taking a band-aid approach. And this particular client here, we looked in depth, and she wasn't recovering. Like Dave was weaving his magic, getting all the muscles working, but her time to recover from a sacroiliac joint injury just was, we couldn't work out what it was. And once we did this adrenal test, and she had massive food sensitivities as well, her life has just turned around, and she's back running and is about to kick some big goals this year. So the key thing that we look at as well is like, we don't just address the symptoms, we look at addressing the underlying cause. So we look at specifically where the stress is coming from. So we have a very comprehensive diagnostic here, and that's a bit of an outline on it, but we look in depth at mental emotional stress, we look at environmental stresses, we look at lifestyle stresses and metabolism stresses. So it's a huge in-depth questionnaire, and it really pinpoints where the stress is coming from in your client. So, anything from, the sleep patterns, from the foods that they're eating, for infections and things that they might have, for exposure to environmental toxins, to so many different exercise things, to all different mental and emotional stresses that they're experiencing. So we really do a comprehensive diagnostic to get to the cause, and once you get to the cause, you can turn this around, and it's amazing some of the results that we've been seeing by getting to the underlying cause and changing this steroid hormone balance in the body. Now, one of the biggest stresses that we're finding is the hidden stress of food sensitivities, and Dave's going to talk a little bit about that now.
Oh, we're on. My clicker sometimes decides to work and sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of fun, you guys not seeing me here, because I'm sitting there practicing my breakdancing moves while Angela's talking, which is kind of fun. It would look slightly less
impressive. Keep that mic up for us too, Dave, if you could. Thank you.
Now, I want to talk about food intolerance and food sensitivities. Now, they're the same thing, by the way. Those terms are used interchangeably, but they shouldn't be confused with a proper food allergy. Now, food allergies, and Angela's got a fun one of these. If Angela has prawns, she swells up, she lips like Jagger, and she can't breathe, and she keels over. So I keep trying to slip them into her food. Funny enough, my mother-in-law, also raw carrot, she has an anaphylactic shock to raw carrot. So again, I can't get her to eat them either. So woman in my life. Now, they're easy to spot because a food allergy is immediate reaction, and it's usually quite severe. Food sensitivities are much trickier to find. They often come on slower, and the symptoms are much more subtle, but can be very destructive as well. Now, if you eat a food that you are sensitive to or intolerant to, you can get a reaction which can be 3 hours to 3 days after you eat it. So trying to identify exactly what that food is really tricky. You know, we have lots of people who've come and seen us and said, look, we think we have an intolerance to wheat or gluten or dairy or whatever else, but you know, often it can be something that's totally different. So really the only way to find that out is to get tested. So if you look at the pictures there, you'll see the chap there with his arms put out there, that's a skin prick test, and that's typically what you'll have for an allergy test. Now, in terms of trying to diagnose a food allergy or a food intolerance with a skin prick test is just totally flawed, would be from an immunology point of view. It makes absolutely no sense. That test is useful if you've got an airborne allergy to, let's say, dust mites or cat hair or whatever else, but in terms of looking from a food perspective, no way. The one on the right there is a food intolerance test, and that's a test that we run. It's a blood test, and certainly once you can identify those foods, it makes a massive difference to the inflammatory response to the body, because if you eat a food that you're intolerant to, it causes an immune response in the body, which is called an IgG response, which is a branch of the immune system, and that can cause a whole variety of symptoms. It can be anything from migraines through to sore joints, bloatedness, gut problems, can be a lot of coughs, you name it. The symptoms can be extremely varied, and hopefully Angela will tell us a few stories about that too. So I'll pass you back to her now.
Just a key point too with food sensitivity is that when you're having that inflammatory reaction in your body, it's actually causing a stress response. So if you're eating that same food 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, your body is under stress. So all day it's under stress, and it's a hidden stress, but the good thing about it is it's a stress that can be identified and changed. So that's the great thing about food sensitivities is like you can get some really good wins on the board for yourself and your clients by, you know, just changing a few things in diet, and it can turn their adrenal fatigue around. You know, I've got my story is, you know, I've always, you know, over the years been dairy and gluten-free because I suspected those were foods for me. But, you know, I was quite shocked when I had lettuce come back as a high reaction for me, and I'm thinking, how on earth can lettuce have I can have a sensitivity to lettuce? And, you know, lettuce was something that I was eating, you know, usually in my lunch and in my dinners a lot throughout the day, and I didn't actually realise what it was doing to my body. And you know, I've had a couple of knee reconstructions, and you know, it felt good, but they used to get a little bit stiff. And you know, probably about 3 or 4 weeks into removing lettuce from my diet, I could just sit down on my knees, and I was like, I just can't believe this. And you know, I used to go out, if I went out to a girls' lunch on the weekend, have a couple of champagnes, I'd pull up a bit stiff in my knees. And you know, ever since removing the lettuce, I can actually go out, have a couple of champagnes on the weekend, and not have those sore knees. So my girlfriends actually want me to write a book, how to stop eating lettuce and drink champagne and feel better. But, you know, jokes aside, it's amazing the differences that, you know, foods can make. And, you know, we've got a really interesting story with Dave's daughter, his 7-year-old daughter. If you look on the website, you'll read that testimonial, and she had a sensitivity to pineapple. Now, she's someone who's always suffered a lot of eczema and had tummy pains and things like that. And ever since removing pineapple from her diet, she, probably about a month or so in, Dave, probably about a month or so into making those food changes, the eczema pretty much disappeared, and she walked out and said, Daddy, my tummy doesn't hurt anymore. So, you know, it's just an amazing win. And what's great about that too is his daughter won't be under stress, that chronic stress for, you know, she might get stressed sometime in her life, but she won't be getting that chronic stress from a food sensitivity. And, you know, we just see so many stories like that in our life and within our clients. And, you know, dairy is something that comes back a lot for clients. And, you know, when they remove dairy, it's amazing the differences it can make, and particularly a lot of people are loading up on dairy in the morning with milk and big lattes and, you know, yogurt on their cereals and things like that. And, you know, people in particular who had a high cortisol response in the morning, by changing those things, it's really turning around. You know, we've had people who have eliminated yeast-based products and gluten, and, you know, one 60-year-old guy couldn't get anywhere with his stress. His son had lost his son, and, you know, he removed these changes, not only lost 7 kilos, but was starting to sleep a lot better and be able to reduce the overall stress load on his body. So if you have a look here at our, this is our test that we do. We actually run a test on 93 different foods. Dave's just changing it over now. And we're on. So this basically, what it actually does, it measures the extent of the inflammatory response. So the ones in the green, they're okay. That's an insignificant response there. Then you've got the yellow, which is low, moving up to moderate and high. So as you can see on this one here, this person had a very high sensitivity to milk. They also had whey as well, which come back. So that's a really interesting one to work with clients who are having a lot of whey protein drinks. And, you know, again, they think they're doing the right thing, but by making those changes, they're actually recovering a lot better. You know, over here as well, this particular person had high sensitivities to gluten and wheat, and also gliadin, which is found in gluten as well. So, you know, there's also, if you can see, low reactions there as well to egg whites and, you know, lamb. So these are healthy foods that, you know, people are eating thinking, oh, I'm doing the right thing here, but for their particular body, it's causing an inflammatory reaction. So it's really important to look at exactly what's going on in your clients. And, you know, if you can, that's what we're here to do. We're here to make our clients feel better. And, you know, giving this information for us has just been life-changing. And the results that we're seeing with clients is absolutely amazing. And one thing I will point out too with this test, you can't actually see it there, but we actually measure your Candida antibody as well. So, and we run some questionnaires about that to actually see if you have a Candida infection. And one thing that we found a lot is, one lady in particular stands out. She had put on about 4 or 5 kilos. She was eating clean as it comes. She was training really well. She just thought, oh, well, I've put on 4 or 5 kilos. That's what happens with menopause. Now, once we got her food results back, she didn't have a huge number of sensitivities, but her Candida antibody was off the scale. So we actually provided her with an anti-Candida diet, and boom, you know, her results were amazing. Not only did she lose like 4 or 5 kilos, like the brain fog, the clarity, and now when she's training, she's just like smashing it out of the water. It's really inspiring to watch her change. So that's the type of test that we do there.
So where from here, I guess, is where we want to finish up before we answer some questions. Hopefully we've got time. Now, first of all, check out the websites. We've got a couple there. We've got one specifically for New Zealand, our New Zealand customers. So that's foodsensitivity.co.nz. Now, particularly for trainers, you can email us for coupon codes. We like to, well, typically you guys are the leaders in health, so it makes sense for you guys to be healthy. We'll give you coupon codes. We'll give you a healthy discount, and certainly we can hook you up with coupon codes which you can use for your clients, and you can get, well, you can use that as a source of income as well, and help them out at the same time, of course, which is what we do. Really what we'd like to do as well is check out adrenalfatiguetesting.com, which is the program that we're piloting in New Zealand, and that's now, it's an education program put together by Andrew and myself to teach you how to run adrenal fatigue testing tests for your clients. So if you go onto that website and go to the practitioner page, the password there is Kaizen, and if you punch that in there, there's some forms there which you can have a look through, and if you think that's something that you're interested in to help your clients out and yourself as well, and you feel like that's a journey you'd like to come on with us, we'd love to talk to you about that. Now, in terms of questions, have we got time for questions? How are we looking here?
Yes, we've had one question come through, and that question was, what do you use to test for food allergies?
Okay, we use a dried blood spot test for that one there. Look, there's plenty of ways out there in terms of testing for food sensitivities, and there's hair tests, there's all sorts of strange things, but the science behind them is pretty murky, is probably my polite way of saying it. So what we use a dried blood spot test, and hopefully you should remember the slide back there with the card with the 5 spots of blood on it. Yeah, we actually send you the kit, which you can actually do at home. You send that to our lab in the States. They process the results, send them to us, and we send the results back to you, is the way that goes. And that's the lab that we use, we're really lucky to be working with them. They've had over a decade of working specifically in food sensitivity testing.
Wonderful. I've got one more question that just came through. And that question is, so overall, the missing link is the diet?
Well, the missing link is stress hormone balance, and it's about getting those measures on the inside. Measuring stuff on the outside is easy to see, but what you see on the outside often doesn't represent what's on the inside. And you've heard that saying, health comes from the inside out. If you can get measures of the inside in terms of what's going on in the hormonal system, how people are reacting to stress, and particularly how they're reacting to their food, man, the whole playing field lifts up to a whole new level. And as you just said, your stress hormone balance is a critical one, absolutely critical. And we're finding that once we can get some control over that, the results will come.
Awesome. And just flicking back to the first question you answered about what you use to test for food allergies, Dave, the question about your answer was, are we able to access that?
You certainly can. So again, check out the website there, and there is a link, or there's an email actually on the slide here as well, or just do the contact page on the website there. And if you're a trainer, make sure you email us before you purchase, because we'd like to give you a coupon code so you can try us out for a discounted price. And certainly if that's something you're interested in to use with your clients, we can set your clients up with coupon codes which allow them to purchase at a discounted price and also give you a referral fee as well. We don't like the idea of you buying tests off us and I'm telling them that, oh, as a trainer, I wouldn't want to do that. So we've kind of made a scheme there where basically your clients can order direct off the site and we all win. Your client wins by getting great information. We make a win, you make a win too.
Wonderful. I think you must have covered everything pretty well, guys, because there's no other questions. Did you have anything else that you'd like to say?
Yep, come to Queenstown. Come and catch me up in 25th of July. We'd love to see some more folks there. We're bring your ski boots. I hear it's a good snowfall there, so we'd love to see you there. And also myself and Andrew are at FedEx this year. We've got some really interesting stuff that we've been working on that we want to share with you guys too. So if you're not in Queenstown, which we hope you might be, we'd love to catch you in at FedEx in Auckland at the end of the year as well.
Awesome. I do have one more question that came through. It says, how soon would we get the results in New Zealand?
So food sensitivity tests,
I think so, yeah.
3 to 4 weeks is a turnaround on that one there.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, awesome, guys. Look, on behalf of Hilary, who is here, and it's just due to a technical hitch that we couldn't actually hear her, so my apologies about that. On behalf of Hilary and the PT Council of New Zealand, thank you so much for your time and expertise. We've had a wonderful time, learned lots, and I'm pretty sure that people will follow up on all the opportunities that you've given them. So thanks for the information. To everybody else, thank you so much for your time today, and I will officially close our webinar and wish you all a fantastic day. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. See you later.
Great, thank you.